Well, as Tone said, my name is Michael. First of all, I want to thank all of you guys so much for agreeing to do this interview. You know, I'm a big fan of both of your guys' website. I'm a big fan of your blogs. And I know Brandon's not here right now. I am also a fan of his music career. So big thanks to you guys. I really do appreciate this. New Year's resolution is giving me a blast now, and I'm really excited about it.
Wait a minute, Brandon's not here?
I guess how we could do this, just so we can keep it a little organized, is I have a list of a couple of questions here. I think I've got about a total of 5 questions. I'll go ahead and ask the questions. We can get David and Lisa's perspective, and then we can get Cici's perspective. If you guys end up having a little back and forth about it, that's also fine. So I guess the first question is, if you're willing to share, how has COVID affected you guys both in your professional life with the blog website and doing escape rooms, as well as life outside of work, just in your normal everyday lives?
It's been a party. I mean, personally, we're both healthy. We have remained healthy, as have our immediate families. So that's been good.
We're lucky that we can run this website from home, and that also we both have full-time jobs that we can do from home outside of this website. So we've been very lucky in that regard to keep our jobs and keep everything we're doing. I wouldn't say that necessarily transitioning to working from home in every capacity has been the easiest thing. And there was, and in my job, there was a lot of just challenges in.
You were working a lot.
I was working a lot. I was working really long hours for most of the spring and into the early summer as my company dealt with, how COVID was impacting that business. Plus, we were working on all of the transitions especially for Recon.
Yeah, taking our whole physical convention that we were supposed to be hosting in Boston and then reimagining it as a digital convention. That was basically like a third full-time job for us. That pretty much ate up most of the year. The good news, though, the biggest thing that I think we both have taken away from this is that we really do like spending time with each other, which is good because we have done nothing but that.
That's gotta.
I would say actually that was like my time home with my daughter was like the biggest plus of COVID.
Yeah, I can imagine having kids, finally having like that excess amount of time to spend with them has got to be super nice.
Yeah.
I feel like this is all like that scene from the Twilight Zone with the guy who just wanted to read his books and the world ends and then his reading glasses break.
Yeah, I mean, like we're probably like at the end of the spectrum here because we got hit pretty hard right at the beginning in March. Wow. We both got COVID. And then from that point on, our family had losses throughout the entire, even like my family in China had passings, and then also Brandon's family had passings because of COVID. So it's been pretty tough from, I think, March onwards until maybe May-ish. That's when kind of everything slowed down a bit. I think I'm still kind of in the recovery zone where I don't feel like my entire body feels the same as before. Physically and also mentally getting really tired. Like I need a nap every day, which is really like weird as it sounds, but like it's like one of those things that after COVID, it's just like your body feels really tired all the time. And then the taste buds and the smell still has that like maybe 30% that's not there. Like I used to, love cooking. I can smell the aura from like really far away. But now like when I cook garlic, I can't even smell it, which is really, tough.
Wow.
I would not survive.
Wow. So, I mean, from what I recall, you and Brandon had it bad.
Yeah. It was pretty bad because I think at the time, no one knew what it was. So right. It was tough to know if it was one of those like life and death situations. And then when we were home, we were not really prepared with anything either. And I mean, we kind of did researches on our own. And then we also consulted people in China because we had family and doctors over there that were, at the front lines. And they kind of really helped us a little bit in terms of what to prepare. But they couldn't get medicine over at that point, and then we were running out of masks. It was that whole charade of that crazy beginning. So those 2 months were pretty tough, but then after that we were I feel like what happened with the personal side, like I'm in real estate, so then New York City's real estate just kind of plummeted right from there. Like I had owners reaching out to me. It's like, hey, my apartment's vacant. Can you please help? I'm like, my apartment's vacant. I can't even help myself. So like, like nobody wants to live in the city. You know, then we also had his job was he has his own dance studio and his talents and whatnot. But these things are all things that you have to do in person. So all the studios were closed. So then we have to start, you know, thinking about like creatively, like how can we do stuff from home.
And Lisa, did you guys ever get the virus?
No, we did not. We were lucky that we didn't get it early on, and then we barely left our homes. Really, all since March, since the beginning of March.
David goes grocery shopping and goes to the post office box.
Yeah, that's about it.
Wow.
It.
Yeah, I mean, we both have had it too.
Yeah, mine a little more severe. He got when you got it when it first hit, and it was you had very, very mild. I think you were asymptomatic.
Well, I was coughing quite a bit, but that was really like the biggest extent.
Mm-hmm.
It got Jess, myself, and Liv got it in Disney World.
Oh gosh.
We went to Disney World on vacation right in the spring, like end of February, early March.
Yep.
And had no idea that, you know, we had it. But there was a point where like at Trapdoor, it was like every other day somebody thought they had the flu and was going out for a while.
But again, I
can't imagine losing people to this. That's, you know, we even just from customers coming in and players, we've heard so many stories over the last couple months, and none of them, you know, it kind of dealt with nearly as much as, you know, you and Brandon's story.
Yeah, I mean, like that's why for that few weeks, it just doesn't seem real. So like everything seems kind of like just, you know, it's like, and then even now, if you think about it, like, wait, what? It's just not, you know, because then the holiday came and you had that feel of always being with the family, and then his grandma was always there. She always had, you know, our Red Pockets home bows ready for us, and then this holiday just didn't feel as the same. Like, so yeah, we definitely felt like this experience brought us closer to our families much more than before. Like whenever my mom tells me to do something, like I do it right away. Which usually it's like gonna take me days, but now it's just like, yes, Mom.
I'm kind of in the same boat. I definitely talk back less to my parents and my family these days.
I feel like I talk back more.
I mean, that's you. You're a special breed. You're still different.
I'm like, Mom, you might not be here tomorrow, so I need to tell you off today.
Definitely different, for sure.
Okay, first of all, you're terrible. Second of all, so with that in mind, keeping like, you know, how COVID has affected us and how it's kind of like affected the business as far as like escape rooms and even the blogging industry and reviewing escape rooms, you know, you guys were affected in the sense that, you know, going to do the escape rooms is something that doesn't normally happen. In 2021, with the year to come, what do you think escape rooms can do to make people feel safer? Like what kind of protocols do you think should be put in place that if in-person escape rooms started up again in 2021 would make players and yourselves feel a lot safer?
So I talked about this at Recon in our session that we had given on the 2020 state of the escape room industry, which was just, you know, a barrel of laughs session. There were a few points that I touched on there. And for me, the perspective that I'm coming from is I have pretty bad asthma. And when I was a child, I had viral pneumonia that wrecked me for about 3 months. And it took about 20 years for me to recover from that. So I'm really not keen on getting COVID because I don't know what it will do to me. So from my perspective, I'm looking for a few things. The first is, you know, the no team overlap, just not crossing paths with other people. Contactless check-in, which I think is just generally a good opportunity for escape rooms as an industry to improve the customer service experience, because it's a thing that would make it better regardless of world state. Third is cleaning after use, especially heavily used props. The next one is hygienic interaction design. really thinking through, especially stuff that you have to put your lips near or sniff or just anything that the face goes near, either redesigning that stuff or rethinking the way that it works so that you can be confident as a player that it is safe. And then the last one for me is masks from entry to exit. Like for me, it's not worth the post-game photo without a mask. Like I don't need that. I want to play the game. I don't want to assume unnecessary risks. That said, I really do think that escape rooms could dominate in a small scale entertainment in 2021 and looking further into the future.
And we haven't played very much. I mean, since March, when we actually got home at the first couple days of March, we were traveling. We got home from Athens. And after that, we didn't really play any more escape rooms at all until just a couple this fall. But we felt very safe. We went to a place that was following, all of this. And in terms of all of the things that we do, which is not a lot, I mean, we felt safer playing this escape room than we did going to the grocery store.
Yeah, I felt way, way safer playing those escape rooms than I have ever felt at the post office or at the grocery store. So I think that those are the things for me that really matter.
Awesome. What about you, Cici? What kind of protocols do you foresee or want to be put in place to help you feel safer going to escape rooms come 2021?
Yeah, I mean, like David pretty much covered a lot of the stuff that I would agree on already. I think was it just this past weekend that we went to one, and there was stuff that were in there, just like he said, the whole touching perspective with the puzzles. Which there were like things that like say like you have to put your hand like all the way in. I just don't think they can be able to like clean that after for another game. It's just there's no way you can say like, oh, I sanitize that. So I think from the design perspective, for sure there should be some changes, and also due to the fact that we lost like the whole taste situation, and if there were some sort of puzzles in there that kind of required the whole smell aspect of it, I know David and I talked about this before too, that would be kind of difficult for us as a player. And then I think this game, the particular, I think had a lot of stuff that definitely needed to be touched on. So then we didn't really know how to, at that point say like, hey, I don't want to play this game because we're already in there. But I think that they should have maybe provided something, maybe gloves or something that would have made us feel a little more comfortable as we were in there. With the gloves, the masking for sure, we don't want to take them off. And then with that said, then I think from the design perspective, then you probably don't want to like enclose us in a small area for too long, because then we probably can't breathe for that sake of time. And I think, I mean, pretty much he covered everything that I really wanted to say for about the next year. But I think because of this, a lot of people are also starting to play a lot of online remote games due to that. So that whole genre just came out, and I'm super happy about it, because I like at this point I kind of feel like I'm getting lazier than like me telling an avatar to like search for me and to like open locks and like do all these like physical things for me. I feel really like entertained. I'm just like, yeah, go do that. Bend your knees on the floor and search. I wouldn't do that myself. I'm like, yeah, go for it. Who knows what you're
We're hitting like the Jetsons, where it's like you watch a video of someone doing push-ups instead of doing the push-ups, and you feel like you got your workout in.
I'm just picturing Cici being like, bend those knees, young man.
We even, as we opened up here, a lot of those protocols that you guys had mentioned, we started up doing ourselves, and we're hoping that we can at least be the example that other escape rooms follow. We require masks to be worn, open to start to finish, open to close, also open to close for some employees. We, provide people with vinyl powder-free gloves. There's ample enough time in between games to sanitize. You do bring up some really good points about those more smell or like close proximity puzzles. That's actually not something that I had considered before. So that's a very good thing that I actually didn't think of. So with the future, so with all the stuff put in place that escape rooms could put into place come 2021, say every escape room put a safety protocol in place that made people feel better. How do you guys feel about these, the future of escape rooms to come 2021? With COVID in 2020 soaring, just completely decimating the country, we have lost a large number of escape room companies. A lot of people have unfortunately got under. So what do you see the future? Do you think escape rooms can make a comeback here in 2021?
I don't think we're going to be out of this in 2021. I think would be almost the prerequisite to that question.
Survive the year.
I mean, realistically, 2020 is over.
Yes.
And yes, there's a vaccine.
Sure.
But it's going to be months before any majority has taken it. And I mean, we see how many people call us and freak out just on the fact that they have to wear a mask. Never mind how many people are actually going to line up to get the vaccine.
Yes, no, and I understand where you're coming from with that.
I kind of keep going with the whole foxhole mentality. Now, saying this as an atheist, it's the element of like, you don't believe in God until you're in the foxhole.
Mm-hmm.
It's like people are that are saying, I'm never taking that vaccine, are saying that until they have COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to be like, please, but, until that happens, we are not going to reach a stage of immunity that's going to lift us out of this.
So that actually poses a more interesting question then, I think. If 2021 isn't the year for escape rooms to come back, is 2021 the year that we see the fall of escape rooms entirely?
I don't think that's it either. I think 2020 was the year of everything destroyed. 2021 is the year of recovery. But I think 2022 is the year of normalcy.
How do you guys feel about that? Starting with David and Lisa.
I think that Tone is thinking in the right direction, at least for where we're coming from. We don't have a massively rosy outlook on 2021. We love that there's hope. I mean, for me, I just worry that we're going to look back on things and say, oh, wow, it turns out getting the vaccine, like creating the vaccine was the easy part. And the distribution of it turned out to be the hard part. That's that's the thing that keeps me up at night as a person, not just like escape rooms, not just like, that's the thing that I get a little bit nervous about. But I do truly believe that as long as we can get escape rooms following good safety protocols, and maybe as a community get a little bit louder about the fact that we are following these protocols and lobby a little bit harder. I think that escape rooms are really well positioned as small scale entertainment to be dominant even in a less stable world. That's my hope. That's really what I would like to see us all start to push for and start fighting for, because most entertainment venues require heavy footfall. They require tons of people in order for the business to sustain itself, let alone turn a profit. Escape rooms don't require that same level of foot traffic. They don't have to fill 150 people into a theater. They don't all of your ice skating rinks and roller rinks and bowling alleys and movie theaters and arcades and FECs, all of these things, and not even getting on theme parks.
Concert venues. These
theaters, things require so many people to be even, neutral.
Well, I mean, you guys know we build large.
Yeah.
So we kind of do need a little not much, but like we thought going into this, like Cure Z, Freak Show, like these are games that took up so much square footage that we were like, group of 2 books that at 8:00, we're screwed. Mm-hmm. And that said, August was the highest grossing month in the company's history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was with all private games. And that was still with groups of 2 or groups of 4 taking on those larger scale games. Now, granted, the fall, definitely dipped back down, and then we've picked up again for the holidays. But, we were like flabbergasted that August was as insane as it was. And, but all that said, there is probably weekly arguments with customers over the protocols.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be one of the harsh realities. What I do think is,
I would say, I think the thing is, and the thing about escape rooms is that you can have a month like August with single group bookings, and in so many other types of entertainment, you can't.
Yeah,
right.
I think when people are actually able to get out of their homes comfortably, I think we're purchased out. You know, everyone has bought everything on Amazon they could possibly want. They're screened out. They've watched every TV show and movie on all of these different streaming services that they could possibly want. They're going to want experiences. And I think that this is a very well positioned form of entertainment for the world that we're entering.
And the other thing I wanted to add is I don't want to discount the number of companies that are closing, because that's a fact, and we also can't ignore that so many small businesses, not just escape rooms, but also many escape rooms, are closing because of this, and that, you know, the longer this goes on, the less that can weather it. So I think there is a really positive outlook for escape rooms that we just talked about, but there are going to be a lot of, you know, personal tragedies for small businesses alongside that.
That was actually something that Tony and I were discussing before, about all these massive, like, the massive amount of small businesses closing, where it'll either lead to everything's just Detroited, or a cool thing will happen where new businesses and rebuilding will come in its place, and we'll see a rise of a bunch of small businesses and escape rooms, which is what I personally hope for, is just kind of the rebuild. Cici, what's your perspective on this?
I mean, like, I feel like if you're a company that are more easily adaptable, like in terms of, you know, now a lot of stuff are on technology and online. And if you come up with ideas like online games, you know, something that you can sustain your business with, but then you have to really think about, you know, what else can I do to keep my business running other than just a physical in person, in case, like, you know, that's not getting any business. But if you're not thinking, you know, outside of the box, and you're just like, I'm going to just wait for players to come, and then, you know, hopefully my business would just be normal again soon. I don't know how long you can, you know, keep up with that. Just like you said, like maybe 1 month is great, and then maybe I can sustain that aspect of the business for a few months, and then perhaps I have zero income again. But then you really have to think about, like, how can I just at least have a little bit of income when that 0 months is here? And I also think that when the whole in-person thing does come back, even maybe your optimism shouldn't really be at like, oh, I was 100K you know, profit like back then. Now I'm only 50, but then you should just be happy perhaps with just the 50, and you're still profiting, versus just saying like, oh, now I'm like only 50% profiting, because there are some people who are out there that are, you know, in the negatives. So I think, like, perspective wise, you probably have to kind of adjust to, like, you know, where your like business scale is from now on. And I have talked to a lot of owners who are doing great at doing, you know, remote escape rooms, and their remotes are actually doing better than their in person, and they're booking like full for like a few months down the road, and you wonder, you're like, well, how come, you know, their business is doing so great, and like I don't have that kind of booking. So then I think certain businesses really need to kind of reflect and see, like, perhaps I can also do that, but then maybe I didn't put enough, you know, hard work into making that experience that everybody wants to play from all over the world. So something to, you know, just keep in mind, you know, going forward into 2021, perhaps there are other creative ideas that could pop out from this, because we've seen so much that we thought like, wow, this, I didn't even know that this could happen. Like, oh, you have Zoom and you can go into like hundreds of different doors, and you have like, you know, different places that you can see various people. Like, they're probably just in their apartment with a virtual background, but they're entertaining you. So yeah,
I really do enjoy the positive perspective we have there of, you know, even though certain businesses are starting to, you know, get with the in-person games, you know, that people get creative with the online games. And it's kind of awesome that in tragedy, new and exciting things happen, and they kind of sweep across the nation, much like the online escape rooms. So with online escape rooms kind of sweeping the nation like they did with the initial pandemic, we hopped on the streaming thing almost immediately when it happened. Every other escape room hopped onto it, and it has been a massively booming business. With 2021 and the future of COVID still kind of uncertain, do you see streaming to keep rising? What kind of evolutions do you see coming to streaming? I've seen reports online about in-person, say, virtual reality escape rooms. Is that something that we can kind of expect at a remote type of experience?
Should we let Cici answer this first? I feel like we keep taking these questions first.
We can let Cici answer it first. That's no problem.
Yeah, I mean, okay, perhaps we played a bit more remote than Lisa and Dave in this.
You guys played so much more.
Tons at this point, but I think from our perspective, we really support the online like creative side, and just like different various things are coming out of it. There's many types of, like you said, it's not just remote escape room. There's like audio ones, and then there's like a hybrid where you like perhaps combine digital and the actual in person. It just really depends on how the business really has their profitability set, because I see some owners who are like, I'm willing to like do 2 avatars in my game because I want to make the player feel like the camera is stable, and then I'm able to shoot from this angle with I feel like the player is going to get the most of it. And I'm thinking in my head like, oh, you could have pre-recorded that, we probably wouldn't even know, but then you probably could cut one person off. But then it's really up to them in terms of how they're coming, how they're feeling, if they're really going for the profit, or they're really thinking about like, I just want my game to be like out there and everybody's going to be talking about it, and then they're going to constantly want to come back because I'm going to create a new one and it's going to be the best. So it's the same thing as when I was actually talking to another owner this weekend, and he's like, I used to do corporate games, and because of this, I can't do corporate size anymore. So I've actually, shrunk all my rooms to those playable by 2 or playable by 4 ones. And now I have like, 6 or 7 rooms versus I had one large space, because I'm just adapting to the market, because that's what it is right now. So I just, like I said, like adapting and just accepting what it is and kind of going with the change is probably what you really have to look forward to at least for the next few years. So.
I mean, I think that the online experiences are certainly here to stay. Some of the great things about them are you can play with friends who you would never get to see in person because they live so far away. And then you still have escape room experiences you can play together. We also have gotten to play experiences from parts of the world that we're not going to get to travel to. So that's opened up a lot of new opportunities for players and for owners. And then I think the other thing especially is that like the creativity that Cici said, and these people being able to think outside the box, and especially the people who are really designing for the medium or adapting to the medium, who are really selecting what type of online or streaming or digital experience they want to do and why they're going to be using that medium. There are plenty of experiences we've had that are better for being digital and wouldn't be the same in real life. And those ones that are created with that in mind, I think they have a staying power.
Yeah. I also think so to what Lisa was saying about playing with people who live far away, we have found that has increased our enjoyment of playing online games. It feels bad, even now, even during like all the lockdown type stuff. It feels bad playing these games with our friends who live, 15 minutes away. It feels like, oh, we should be doing this in real life with you. But if we go and we play with a friend who lives, an ocean away or a continent away, then it feels like, oh, well, I was never going to see you anyway, so this feels good. It's like found time. But the other thing that I think is really important here is that escape rooms have always had a return, like they've always had a product problem where it takes a lot of investment and a lot of time to produce a new escape room, and it takes the manpower to run it and operate it and the booking time and all of that. And I think it's really healthy for our industry for these more bespoke products, these things that you can buy for $5 or $10 or $20 and they don't require the escape room company to man it. And, they don't require a booking time. It is just, once you get past the, the cost of developing the product, it is just pure profit. That's a thing that I think is hugely beneficial. And if you look at like we just played the other day, See You Adventures Through Time and Space, their Solve Our Shirts game, which is awesome. It's one of my favorite things that I've played this year. And it requires it doesn't require any like bookings on their side. It's just something that they can sell. And once the world opens up again, they can have them in their lobby and they can sell them. And, that's just that's extra money that they just made, and extra value they just delivered to their customers.
I have one kind of, I guess, situation on this, though, that's going to be interesting to see the evolution of, because none of our games stream where we're in the room at the time of the stream. We always have, just for example, like Mike in front of the green screen, and we have background plates from every one of the games. And then we cut to footage, like found footage style of the games, because we're open. We've been open since May?
May, when we were allowed to open up again.
Pennsylvania had opened ahead of time, and then, and then we followed suit with New Jersey. And as a result, if we're booking in person, we can't block it off for a $10 stream. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the first things we did, was we went in with the camera crew and we said, film everything first person perspective. And, so I'm interested to see, is everyone going to have to start doing that? Or are they going to say, okay, screw it, we can't have people in at this time? Because you can't have it both ways.
I don't think once the world is opened up that streaming physical games that were meant to be played in real life, I don't think that's going to be a dominant force in most companies. I think it will be in places like Eastern Europe, where if they can sell a couple of games in euros or US dollars,
in the middle of the night for them.
Yeah, in the middle of the night, it blows away their margins that they would have made off of selling a full day's worth of games in their local currency. Yeah. I think that there's a globalization factor that you can't deny.
Right. Right.
But when it comes to like, I just don't see this being the thing that takes over for US and Western European games. I don't think it's going to happen.
I personally am a big fan of the, because I know we've been doing the pre-recorded stuff, and that's kind of like the basis of how we built our Escape streams, which I'm a big fan of. But I've always been interested in what you were explaining before, where you don't necessarily have to man it. You just kind of develop the product, and then with no time slot, no one to really be there to take away from the other stuff. They could just play the game. Self-running game. However, I don't know how to code, so.
I mean, we've seen all sorts of stuff, from print and play stuff to, some of it has websites, some of it doesn't. It's not necessarily like a huge technical hurdle to produce. I think it's a different type of game design. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of different flavors of it, and that's what's been exciting to me. The stuff that excites me the most is the stuff that was specifically designed for me to play from home. That generally, not always, but generally excites me more than the stuff that was adapted for me to play at home.
And one of the things that we've done and that we've really changed during this year is we used to be our only writers, and we've brought on a whole team of reviewers. And part of that was about sharing different perspectives. And what's been so interesting about these online games of different types is that in one review, we'll have 5 perspectives where 2 people loved it, 2 people thought it was okay, and 1 person hated it. But they're all able to explain, what it was that worked and didn't work for them. And you can really understand from some of these reviews, like how much perspective and taste contributes, and just the variety of opportunity there is.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna go ahead and round off the interview with my last question here. Kind of a fun question to end off on a bit of a positive note. Something that I learned about while working here at Trapdoor through Tone, the CEO and my mentor, if you would, is a philosophy called escapism, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with. Just the philosophy of escaping the normal, everyday monotony. We'll start with Cici, but I just want to know, how has escapism helped you get through 2020 and the COVID-19 pandemic?
I mean, like I said, like, even previously, like started from the whole March situation, we kind of didn't really want to think about what's going on in the outside world. And then all you see like every day on the websites or TV is that the numbers are going up, and we're always like gold medal holder for USA. Like there's like, we never failed after that. So pretty much I didn't want to be like in that world. I want to still, be happy. I want to be like, at least pretend that it's going to be okay soon. But then I don't want to like count on the days of when that day is going to come. So every day we want to be keeping busy. And the ways we were doing that is just, we were, having fun with friends online, playing certain games, keeping our brain healthy. Because I feel like we were kind of deteriorating in that aspect. We're just kind of home and all we do is eat. So that, and then you have no exercise. So that was really bad. But then the whole escapism thing was now all of a sudden in the virtual world versus the in person, because we love to travel. So taking the travel away from us was pretty painful, because most of the time we at least travel like 4 or 5 times a year. So this is something that hit really hard. It's like, I don't know what you can't go out today, you can't even go to the grocery store. It's like, what happened? So yeah, definitely very the whole escapism thing really helped us get through this. I feel like it's almost a year now. that's how long I feel like. It's like I haven't really been outside.
2 more months.
Yeah. Feels zombie-ish. That's how I feel like.
Honestly,
it's like, you can go outside.
The year doesn't feel like it's really ending in a few days.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely that really helped us get through. So that's our terminology of escapism.
Awesome.
We practically quarantined together.
Yeah, we did.
There was a selection of our team that, as soon as that had happened, we were like, all right, who wants to be the only ones that we see for the next 6 months?
And I saw Tone every day for 6 months, and it was great. Great.
At least you have a huge place to run around over there.
Are you blinking send help in Morse code?
Don't tell him.
What was, both sad and kind of a really nice element for us was that in the which, we'll be making announcements later in the show about Red Bank and some expansion efforts there. But in the Poconos, we expanded during the shutdown, and we were able to take on, we went from like 3,000 square feet to 12. So, we have this room that we're in right now is a 1,500 square foot studio. That's now our studio. And, we were able to just collectively be in here, and even on a day-to-day, it's like, well, I've had COVID and Mike's had COVID, but, for the rest of the team, it's like, bookkeeping is all the way over across the room. And, and then there's another person over here. And, so like we're able to even stay kind of socially distant, but in the same zone. And, and we built F5 during the shutdown, rebuilt. We rebuilt Boogeyman during the shutdown. We built Everest. We've done a lot of this stuff together collectively. And it's like, I'm still obviously going home and seeing Jess and Liv, but, we did Buried Alive during the shutdown. We did, so like we at least kept each other sane.
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And
so,
Livid.
I feel like you're saying that if there is a zombie apocalypse, we should run to you. Is that what you're saying? You're inviting us to
have a fortress at this point.
You have food, water, like, is everything all good to go?
Oh, we didn't say we had food and water. We said we had a fortress.
No, Trapdoor Studios is an absolute fortress now. Let's not even discuss Red Bank and the moats.
Oh, God. I don't even want to think about that. Before I get sidetracked a little bit more, I'm watching you. David and Lisa, how has escapism helped you guys get through 2020 and the COVID-19 pandemic?
For most of the first half of the year, we really were just hyper focused on getting Recon adapted and launched. After that all kind of stopped, for me personally, like Lisa's way more resilient than I am. For me personally, I emotionally crashed once I no longer had that mission. It was that goal and everything was just driving towards it. And once that was done, I was really proud of how it came out. And then I just felt kind of empty. We've been watching our way through basically through Survivor, mostly because we enjoy it, and there's so much of it, and we don't have to make a decision. There's just always the next episode,
and it's a good amount of time. It's like the right amount of investment.
Yep.
Season 9.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Magic: The Gathering. I taught Lisa how to play.
You actually sat and learned how to play. Wow, she loves you, man. Big fan of Magic: The Gathering, so trust me, I know.
I'm an adult.
Yeah, but we've been cooking a lot, doing a lot of home improvement projects and things like that. We found a hidden room in our home that wasn't in any of the plans. It's very on brand for us.
Oh wow.
I mean, I would say though, all joking aside, I think I could speak for every escape room that's actually following the protocols that you guys have laid out earlier. Because with us very early on, it was immediately privatize the games, mask for the entirety of your stay, temp checks at the door, vinyl gloves that I probably spent $15,000 on at this point.
At boxes of large gloves like every single week.
Literally, and they're $180 a box half the time right now for the quantity that we get them in, and literally weekly purchases.
It's not like we can just buy the cheap ones either. We have to get the vinyl powder-free ones because people might have allergies and stuff.
I mean, we took touch points out of the games. We took props that weren't needed out of the games. We disinfect every single game in between.
We spray polished every like wooden surface. That way we can wipe it down with like cleaner and stuff.
Yeah, we have like 3 more cans of Spar varnish that we sprayed down so that every wooden surface could be cleanable. And I know that up until like maybe a month ago, right in New Jersey alone, there were 3 companies that weren't requiring masks when you were in the games and blah, blah, blah. And, we would get the calls constantly of, well, so-and-so allows it. And, and so it was always this fight. So, what I really would like.
I bet we know who that so-and-so is.
Oh, you damn well know who that so-and-so is.
Yeah.
Actually, you'd be surprised at one of the others though. But, we could off record talk about that one.
I look forward to the gossip.
But yeah, you're dead right on one, but because advertising it, and then they reverted their advertisements like 2 months ago. Or
I remember that. Yeah. I remember being so mad about that.
But regardless of which, talking to the public in general, I don't care where you're going to play. Please stop with the harassment of the staff of escape rooms if you disagree with their measures. And I will say this to keep it straight down the middle. I don't care if you're a COVID denier. I don't care if you feel that the virus is fake. I don't care if you politically disagree with whoever the governor is in the state. The mandates are the mandates. And if companies are caught not requiring you to wear a mask, they will be shut down or fined so far up the ass that they will never be able to stand up straight again. It is not fair to torture the staff or the business owners for trying to just stay legal and in business. This is not that fight to make. Worry about that fight next time you go to Target or Walmart.
Seriously, I fully agree. And like, we get people writing into us being like, hey, such and such company isn't doing this, you know, will you call them out? And like, my answer is like, no, I'm not. It's, you know, we're not the enforcement arm of some imaginary, you know, something. I feel the same way about like when people are like, oh, well, this company stole such and such copyright from this movie. I'm like, let like that's not my job.
Right. Let Warner Brothers deal with that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you know, we're not going to book, we're not going to go. It's, you know, I feel like everybody has ample access to understand the state of the world that we're in right now. If you can't process that, if you won't process that, like, that's, you know, that's on you. But like, don't, you know, vote the way you want to vote, but like, don't go and abuse people just because, you know, you feel you can.
Yeah, no, I got cursed out in F5 a week ago.
I've had the luxury of not getting, I hear most of my stories from Tone about, because a lot of times, you know, he'll answer the phone if I'm editing or, you know, however, and that's how he'll interact with the customers when they find out about the masks. I've had the luxury of not having anyone get overly loud with me, but I've had those moments in game where I'm like, all right, masks have to stay up. And then 15, 20 minutes into the game, the masks are down, they're looking around, and I have to be the guy who comes in and goes, guys, hey, first warning, masks got to go up. Can't tell you that again, you know?
I have a medical condition.
So does the country.
Stay home.
Ow.
Right.
Like,
if you
nobody's
have a medical
forcing
condition,
you
then
to
you're
play.
at greater risk. Stay home.
Right.
Yes.
Right. You know, oh, I can't breathe. Then who told you to book the physical obstacle course game
Right.
in the middle of a pandemic?
That one always gets me right
Like,
on the
I'm
website.
thrilled to have your business, but seriously.
Right on the website, it says you have to push, you have to pull, climb, whatever. Then,
But you were having those problems with the first version of F5 with people who were huffing and puffing and dying in the room and being like, you know.
For like, just, you know, coming from this entire crazy year, I just want everyone to know that, like, you know, from the deepest of like our hearts, we just really want everything to be better and be normal again, and we'll do everything we can just from enthusiast perspective to help the industry, just because we want the escape rooms to survive, because we want to go play them in the future. So hopefully, you know, whatever we can do from, you know, the littlest things that we can help, we'll keep doing them.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Feeling the same way. We do, you know, every day we're posting content trying to raise awareness of this industry, push the level and the safety of this industry, from the content on Room Escape Artist to the stuff that we do with the Reality Escape convention. Like, we just want to push and push and push, try to help this whole industry thrive as much as possible and keep it connected and keep a form of sense of community while things aren't normal. And beyond that, like, you know, I think Cici was, you know, really pointing out, just keep fighting, keep adapting. Like, the world is screwed up, and this is now a part of the business landscape. Like, this is now a thing that can happen. So you have to be planning for it in the future. Like, once we're through this, I would strongly caution against saying like, oh, this is all in the past. We can just go on about, like, if you don't have a plan for Pandemic 2 Electric Boogaloo, like, that's a mistake. This is now part of our ecosystem, and be prepared. So just keep innovating and keep fighting, and, you know, we're there to support and cheerlead and do, you know, do what we can.
And thank you for hosting us, because this has
Yeah.
been a really fun chat.
Thank you guys so much for being on. Great closing statements. And again, I from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate all of you guys coming on to the show. God, I wish I had something more to say other than just like, thanks for coming on to the show.
We're honored
Well, guys,
to be here.
You know, I mean, all of our players, whenever you're looking for reviews, virtual or in-person games, right here on this, we've got the best of the best in the industry for that. So we've got Escapetheroomers, Brandon and Cici. I'm sure you'll see their faces if, you know, you're an owner, or maybe maybe someday when public ticketing might come back, maybe you'll play with them. Who knows? And then David and Lisa, roomescapeartist.com. And you might even be able to attend one of their, convention events. So, definitely check it out if you're ever looking to get any more expertise in the industry. Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming and being a part of this with us.
All right. Back to you, Mike and Tone.